Good morning, Facebook. It's Jenny Norris, host of Home Staging Talk Show Live, brought to you by the International Association of Home Staging Professionals. So as people are coming on, we are live right now. So thank you for joining us. We got a great show today. Today we are going to be talking all about protecting your business. So I thought two aspects were important for that for today. Hi everybody. Protecting your business with staging agreements, but also we're going to start off talking about insurance for your business. What kind of insurance you need to have? Why do you need to have insurance? And I have two different companies going to be on. They are actually sponsors for our upcoming IHOSP conference and expo in October. And so excited to have both of them on. I have Bob Johnson from Staging Resource Management Insurance. I hope I'm saying that right. And then Mike Brown from KMRD Insurance. So really excited to have them both on. So before we get into that, I got a few announcements. Good morning, everybody. First, congratulations to all the award winners. Thank you for submitting your nominations. Thank you for nominating your colleagues throughout the entire industry. We had a great response to that. And for those of you that did not receive an award, just make sure to get yourself in the mix next time, because the contest went on for a couple of months and it ended on June 30th. You know, I'd love to recognize everybody in the association, or the industry, excuse me, that does great work. So make sure you get yourself in there. I love you too, Kevin. So you can be recognized, because I know there's a lot of talented people that didn't get on the list and didn't get recognized, and it's simply because you didn't submit your information, okay? So make sure you do that. So speaking of that, there are the IHOSP Staging Industry Awards. Now those are specific to categories like Best Vacant, Best Occupied Home Staging, Top Staging Team, Top Staging Individual, Rising Star, which would be somebody who's new in the industry that, you know, has just gotten started. We'd like to recognize them and their growth. And then also the Barb Schwartz Staging Award of Excellence goes to a top individual in the industry. We also recognize our top IHOSP chapter. So all of those submittals are still going on. You have until September 4th at midnight. So September 4th at midnight, that's when you have to have all that information turned in. So you can find that information at IHOSPStagingIndustryAwards.com. So IAHPStagingIndustryAwards.com. So get those turned in, because we'd like to recognize you. Those people will be recognized at our conference, which of course is October 18th, 19th, and 20th in Charlotte. Super excited. We've got a great turnout. Of course, we have our keynote speakers, who are the Property Brothers, the Scott brothers. So excited to have them. And amazing speakers talking about business, sales, marketing, mindset, how to do different processes like consultations and pricing your business for success and things like that. So it's for people who are new, people who are seasoned. Somebody's going to get something out of it. And really what's super important is that you come and meet your colleagues from all over the world that will be attending. So as I hope you all know, IHOSP has a sister association over in Europe, which we're super excited about. There's about 13 countries right now aligned with our association, kind of under the umbrella. And so a lot of those people will be coming to conference. And I'm happy to announce that we are launching IHOSP Latin America. So Kevin Tane, who's on, hi Kevin, he is working with me to make that happen. So any of you that have colleagues that are in Latin America, or maybe you are watching this now or in the future and you're from Latin America and you would like to learn more, you can simply reach out to either Kevin or myself. So Kevin's email is Kevin, Kevin, at IAHSP.com. And of course, my email is Jenny, Jennie, at IAHSP.com. So we already have a couple of people that have stepped up from Latin America that want to get this ball rolling. And we're super excited to launch that part of the world. So talking about the Scott brothers, hopefully you guys got the big announcement last week we made on the show. And then we put some things on social media that you've got to write this down. July 30th, which is Monday, July 30th, we're going to have the Scott brothers on the show from their phones and so forth. We're going to have them on live. So at 10:30. So don't wait until like 10:35 or go, well, oh, they're probably doing like what she's doing now, just basic announcements. It's going to be like 10:30 they're on. Okay, so I'm doing this in conjunction with Joseph Hecker, who is Design Talk Live. So I know Joseph's in Chicago right now at the show, the design show. And so he'll have his phone going, I'll have mine. Kelly Ellis is going to be there. We're actually going to do this from Kelly's place in Las Vegas, in her penthouse. It'll be a nice location and get a great segment for you guys. Maybe a couple of surprises with the Scotts. We don't know. They're always game for some fun, right? So then that evening there is a penthouse party. Okay, so penthouse party at Kelly's place. It's a kind of an exclusive group, like 50 people get to be there. And so Joseph and I are both giving away a ticket to a lucky winner from his show and from my show. So you could be on both of our shows, by the way. So you could, you know, do something here and also make sure he sees your submittal. So whatever you do, you need to submit something, and it's all about how many likes you get. So the person with the most likes, because this is social media, the person with the most likes for their whatever you do gets the ticket, okay? And so one of the things you need to do, and I'll put this out on the page, you need to hashtag IAHSP, so hashtag IHOSP and hashtag IHOSPCon Expo. So that's our event handle, if you will, the hashtag for the event. So IHOSP, so hashtag IAHSP or hashtag IAHSP CONEXPO. When you do that, then it's all about the likes, so make sure to share. The person with the most likes gets to come to the party. So there'll be 2 winners. Really excited about that, so it'll be fun. So those of you that are going to Las Vegas Market, you're going to be there. Make sure that you turn your information in so we can partay and have some fun, and you'll be able to meet a lot of the industry peeps from the different companies that are there, and also some industry, you know, celebrities, if you will, that will be there and having fun. Alrighty, next up we have advanced stager training, so make sure that you sign up for that. That is going to be the 21st of October in Charlotte. You don't have to come to the conference to attend. It would be nice if you did, because you'll get so much great information. But that is on Saturday, and so, excuse me, I think I have the days of Thursday, Friday, so it's on Sunday, excuse me. So the 21st is a Sunday. And that's the Advanced Stager Training Day. And that's what will be with myself, Joanne Leonard-Weary. So Joanne, thank you. Jana Usselton from HSRA, and Melissa Morrow from RAVE. So all of those individuals, including us, we offer advanced stager training, coaching, different things to help you advance your business. So this is a collaboration day between the 4 entities to kind of bring us all together and be able to help you in kind of workshop setting. And the qualification is you do need to have a 6-figure business, either now or you're getting there. So by the time conference rolls around, you need to be at that level, because the whole focus is to help you grow from there to more significant income in 6 figures and even into the 7 figures. And so if you're wondering, well, gosh, how do I even get to 6 figures, or how do I get my business to grow? There's a master's course coming. The master's course is September 17th to the 21st. It's for stagers running a professional business, and you are at the place where maybe you need to add team members, maybe you're struggling with pricing your services or figuring out how to establish yourself or brand yourself in your market, all these things that a stager can struggle with. The master's course is going to help you refine all of your business processes. So it is a 5-day class. It's more like a workshop. It's we do our best not to totally overwhelm you. You do have homework, you do have assignments and so forth. It's going to be in Plymouth, Massachusetts. One of the great things about being there is we'll be able to go see and tour one of the largest warehouses in the staging industry in the world, which is Setting the Space, and that's owned by Blair Hamady. So you want to make sure that if that's something that you're focused on as far as growing your business, get yourself there, because you'll be around like-minded individuals and you'll be taught all these different things to really break down your business practices. And it's not from a place of criticism at all. It's a total place of supporting you in your business to help you get to the next level and to grow and to achieve the goals that you have for your company and for yourself. So that's up September 17th to the 21st. And thanks, Mary Beth. Mary Beth came in April. We had a great time. Plymouth is such a beautiful area, and in the fall it should be really, really pretty. So I think that is it for all of my announcements. And so I do need to do one thing here. I don't know if I can do it from my phone or not. Okay, so I'm going to bring on Bob Johnson first. So I got to see here what's happening with my page. We had quite a challenge yesterday doing the tech test with him. I'm not sure what was going on. You know, I could go on his phone live, but he couldn't get on mine. So the only way I was able to do that was to share the segment to his page, which I'm going to do right now from my computer. And then he was able to share it to a friend's timeline. He was able to then access it. So Bob, I'm sharing it to your page right now. Okay. So Bob, if you're watching, so all of you guys that are watching, do me a favor, hit that share button at the bottom of your phone screen or your computer screen. Hit that now. Please share this with everybody on your that follows you or your sphere of influence, because that is how we are able to reach as many people as possible. And that's what we want to do. So Bob, I see that you're on. So hopefully you can go and request to join in. You see that little request thing. So let me see if I do this. Request to add. Invite friends. I'm hoping this works, you guys. Okay, why is it not working? Okay, here we go. Nope, my little thing isn't pulling up. Okay, sorry, my screen was like... All right, go out of that. Okay, here we go. Hopefully this is Bob. Yes! Okay, come on, approve. Add. Okay. He's adding you, Bob. Let's hope it works. So Bob is with SRM Insurance. He is one of our preferred vendors for our conference. Oh, come on. It says it's adding, Bob, so it's trying. I'll be able to meet him in Charlotte. Yes!
Yes! It worked.
Oh my God. So you guys, we literally was like an hour and a half collectively yesterday trying to get this to work. So anyway, this method isn't the normal way, but I'm happy that it worked. So hi, thank you for being on.
Hi. Thank you very much. I actually had a little glitch on my side. My Wi-Fi went out, so I ran out to my car.
Oh, I can see. I thought maybe you were driving.
No, I ran out to the car just so I could get a clean data for the cell
Good.
phone. Yeah.
Well, good. Well, okay. Well, everybody, this is Bob Johnson, and tell everybody who you are and where you're from.
Well, good morning, everybody. I'm glad to be on. I actually am in Northern California. My background is I have 25 years working with real estate agents regarding risk management and other aspects. So that's where my background comes from.
So SRM is staging risk management.
Correct.
Okay. So I want to make
Correct.
sure I said it
It
correctly.
was formed to be the marketing arm for the SRM staging policy by Worth Avenue Group. Worth Avenue Group is actually the insurance agency providing this policy. I'm not an insurance agent myself.
Okay. So I gave you a couple of questions to kind of to think about, you know, as far as we have a dialogue. So people that are watching, explain to them, you know, what the products or services you offer, and then one of the questions I didn't put on there was, you know, why would they need the service, and who is your ideal client?
Right. Well, a couple things. The policy itself is for an individual staging. So it works very well with your current policies, your general liability policies, your inland marine policies that you might have. And what it's designed for is to really try to grow the staging business, staging industry. In working with real estate agents, and how I actually came upon this was I found out from an agent that they don't recommend staging, which is a terrible thing to do, because we all know the benefits of staging. And they weren't doing it because they had a seller who found out they were responsible for a loss. They specifically had some staging furniture stolen. And so this was designed to try to address those types of issues. Yes, the policy, general liability policy you might have would cover this, but I have talked to quite a few stagers, that choose to make the seller responsible either for the deductible of their policies or just completely responsible. And this is set up so you can offer to your agents another value added proposition by using you, and also go after those agents who might not be recommending staging, or a seller who might be apprehensive about using staging because they don't want to be responsible. Now, the cost of this obviously depends on how much furniture you have in a specific staging. So we have some different tiers, and if you work really high end, I know a few listening to this might be putting in $100,000 worth of furniture. We can do individual quotes for things like that, but we have different tiers of 10, 20, and $30,000, and you can get coverage for a 60-day period for as little as $180.
And so, so people that are watching probably wondering, well, who takes out the policy? Is it the stager? Um, if a claim is made, who pays the deductible? I mean, how does that all work?
Um, if let's say the stager is the one that's putting everything together, then the stager can list the seller. They can list a rental company as an additional insured. They can certainly have themselves covered. And they would pay, if there was a claim, a $500 deductible. That deductible was set by Worth Avenue Group, and Hanover Insurance is the underwriter of this policy. And it's set up so that if you have a vase stolen, or I was talking to one stager who had some bottles of wine taken, it's not designed for that. It really is designed for when you have your furniture vandalized or stolen, or the vacant home has a pipe burst and they have issues with flood. We have or Worth has other perils that are included in the policy.
So things like if a house catches on fire and everything gets burned up, is that the homeowner's policy that would cover the loss, or this policy would kick in because the contents don't belong to the homeowner?
Right, you're exactly correct. The contents, because they don't belong to the homeowner, wouldn't probably be covered under a homeowner's insurance policy. And if the home has been vacant, then there's other issues, because a lot of homeowners insurance policies, as I understand it, um, don't have personal property coverage when a home is vacant after 30 days or 60 days or some time frame, depending on the policy.
Right. So what he just said is super important because a lot of us stage vacant properties, and if the homeowner's not living there, a lot of times their policy, even though the house might still have insurance on it for basic things, if something happens because they're not in control of the property, they're not living there, their policy is not going to cover our stuff. So it's super important you guys have coverage of your inventory. This is a great product to either add to what you already have, to cover specific incidences. And let's talk about Houston, for example. Last year there was a big floods that happened. I know a lot of the colleagues, there was like some of my colleagues had multiple properties that were floating in water. So in an issue like that, as long as each property had a policy coverage on it for the overall amount of loss, then it would be covered, correct?
And what you're talking about in working with the existing policies is very true. And I know you have a guest coming on talking about the annual policies. And yeah, if you make a claim, we all know from health insurance, car insurance, and so forth, if you make, um,
Uh-oh. We lost, oh, okay, we lost you for a second.
oh, sorry. Um, and so this is also designed to try to protect the cost of doing business for the stager and the agent. I know some agents mentioned to me that they will hire a stager to do the actual staging, but they'll go out and rent the furniture. Well, we all know that damage waivers don't cover theft or vandalism. And so Worth Avenue Group can provide to the stager a additional insured for the rental company, and that will be on the deck page that can be provided to them. So you
Yeah,
might get the benefit of not having to pay for the damage waiver.
so rental companies, those people that are renting third party, they all have their coverage for damage and so forth. Some do cover for theft, some don't. Most of them cover for damage, but not malicious damage. Those are usually anywhere from 10 to 12% of the rental total. So when you take that off the plate of the rental company and you say, okay, well, I'm going to have this policy, or I'll put it on my policy because I have an insurance policy for staging for my business, that actually then reduces the cost of the rental by 10 to 12%. That then you can then either make the profit on that or pass that back through to the client to help lower the price of the staging rental. So, but the challenge is then you will be responsible if there is any loss. So your policy would kick in. If Virginia's asking, how is this different from the current staging insurance? So Virginia, we have Mike Brown coming on from KMRD. It's not a replacement. He's going to come on. We're going to kind of clarify how these could work in tandem for stagers. This is not a liability
Yes.
policy, and Bob already said that. So all of us need liability coverage. So no matter what,
Yes.
whether you want to cover your stuff or not, or whether you have inventory, you have to have liability coverage. So Mike's going to come on in a little bit, and he'll talk more about that. So your policy is available in all 50 states?
Yes, all 50 states and Canada.
Oh, cool. Okay, and then what is so the investment is every time you take out a policy, do you ever do just 30-day term? Is it 60-day?
We started out 60-day terms to try to address everyone. If your contract is renewed, the renewals are 30-day increments.
Okay. Because, for example, I do a 30-day minimum. A lot of our houses here are going under contract. We're pulling out within 30 days, but so they wouldn't use that second month, but it's there if we need it, type of thing.
Correct.
Okay.
Correct. Because we tried to design it for the whole country.
Yes.
So, some areas are like what you just described, and you're 100% correct. Other areas, are a little longer. We tried to also build in a buffer. So if you put the furniture in a few days before the actual showing and staging starts, or you don't get a chance to get over there to take it out right as the contract ends, you need a few extra days. You have that protection, even though, say it's a 30-day contract, it's already passed.
So he just said there's a 10,000, a 20,000, and a $30,000 option right now, and you can do a customized. So is that for replacement cost, or is that the retail value, or what is how you coming up with that number? What would that
It's
be?
actually replacement cost.
Okay.
It's not the actual, so there's no depreciation. Worth Avenue Group put the policy in place like that to make sure that we covered the situations on rentals, because just to mention one name, Court, for example, when I talked with them, they told me that the replacement value is 10 times the amount of the cost of rental.
Wow.
So
I think that's
that
quite a
way,
padded, but that might be.
what's that?
I think that's a little bit padded, but so a lot of times the rental companies, if they have like a couch, they pay $800 for, let's say, they have it allocated like we want this to be on our rotation for a year, and it's going to make us $100 a month. So at the end of the year, it'll make us, $920 or $1,200, and so they take a look at that. I think that's probably how they also piece their because it's a business. So, but I'm glad it's replacement cost, not like depreciated. Because like if you think about roofing, we have a lot of hailstorms here. What they're going to
Right.
here because it's so costly is instead of saying like your whole roof is destroyed, they're going to say, oh, well, you've had this roof on for, 15 years and this is a 20-year roof. So we're only going to give you a 5-year valuation for replacement, which is really too bad for the homeowner. So this is actual current replacement cost to replace all those things that were lost, stolen, or damaged.
Right. And again, to reiterate, I'm hoping our goal at Staging Risk Management is that this is going to grow the staging business. It's going to bring in agents, it's going to bring in sellers that might have been apprehensive before. And now we have a way to give the clients that value added protection when they work with all the stagers listening.
So there are stagers that are absolutely adamant about, I am not going to um, pay for loss of my stuff. If I put my stuff in a client's house, I want them to be 100% responsible, or else I'm not going to do business with them. So in that case, your policy, the homeowner or the realtor would have to pay for the policy, and that can be built into the proposal. But they would have to be very clear that you guys are the ones on the hook if something happens. You're paying the deductible. You're responsible for all the contents if there's a loss. Is that correct?
Correct.
Okay.
In general terms, that's exactly correct.
So somebody that has an existing policy, like I have an existing policy, my inventory is all covered per incident. So I don't have like 100% of my stuff covered 100% of the time. It's like I have enough to cover a house getting, ripped off. We don't have hurricanes here. We don't have, we have fires. We don't have earthquakes and things. So the chances of all of my houses being hit simultaneously or multiple houses is pretty slim. So
Right.
if I felt that there was a risk, like I thought, well, maybe I should cover this. I can add to my policy without having to increase my one side. I can just take out a temporary policy for maybe I'm staging a house, like you said, a higher end house where my current policy, let's say I have 15,000 in coverage, but the contents are 50,000. Then that's where I might say, you know what, I need to bridge that gap because I have had a whole house of stuff stolen. I've had people make
Hmm.
off with mattresses and I've had house break-ins. And so it does happen. So that's something that will kind of clarify that you can use it as maybe an add-on to your current policy that covers your inventory. But let me ask you a question. So if I already have a current policy and something happens and I also had your policy, who pays first?
Our policy would be the one you'd want to make the claim on.
Okay.
Yes,
Okay,
that's
cool.
that again, as I mentioned before, about trying to protect your cost of business. By putting this in place, then you can just make a claim, and the claim process is very, very simple. Um, so hopefully we're trying to make this very simple so everyone will put it on all their transactions. As the agents I've talked to and stagers I've talked to that are using this, if you're doing a staging that's a couple $1,000s and it turns into $2,180, the agent who was there to look out after the best interest of their clients are saying, I don't care about the $180. If my client is protected for that, I'll do it every time.
It's a nominal cost of doing business to protect you from a huge liability.
Right.
So how do people find out more? Where are they going to go to get more information? So I know, Krista, you're watching. You have a website. So let's put that on the message here. And then you're also on our iHosp Expo vendor page. And we're
Yes.
sending information out. But let us know, what is your website?
Well, the best and easiest way to get to the website is if you're in front of your computers, everybody, go to the address bar, not your search bar, but your address bar at the top, and just type in stagingrm.com. So that's
Staging.
stagingrm.com. And that'll take you right to the Worth Avenue staging risk management page.
Cool. So
And I'd love to
STAG.
be able to talk to anybody who has questions. So I would love to give out my personal direct line.
So what you can do is after you get off the live segment, go onto the comments and
Mhm.
type your information, your phone number and email in there. And then
Okay.
we also, I need to clarify this, but usually the vendors that have signed up for our conferences, there's usually a special perk or something for our iHost members. So I'm not sure if that was set up with you, but we can figure that out. I think it's a great opportunity for people to learn more, go to the website, and then of course you get to meet Bob. You're coming to Charlotte, right?
Yes, I am.
So he'll be there on October 18th at our vendor expo, and then we'll be staying for the conference as well. So he's one of our gold sponsors. So thank you so much for supporting us and our event. Really excited to
You're
have you
very
there.
welcome. Looking
All right. So
very much forward to it.
yeah. So he's going to put his information and put your email address in there too, in case people have questions, they can reach out to you directly. So I'm going to go ahead and let Bob come off. So thank you so much. Everybody say goodbye to Bob.
Thank you very much.
You and Charlotte. All right. Okay, so great. So, Mike, if you are watching, go ahead and request to join. Mike Brown with KMRD. So that was great information. So again, all of you that are watching as we can with this, and of course, this segment is recorded so people can watch it over and over again. So, Mike Brown, I hope you're on. I haven't seen you pop up yet. So hopefully you are watching. Maybe I should share this to your page as well. Let me do that just so. Oh, there you are. Hello. Okay. Yay. Well, today was very easy for technology. Yesterday was like a hour and a half trying to get Bob to figure out what to do, and we finally made it work. So it's adding you, Mike. So Mike Brown is with KMRD, and they have been an insurance provider for our members for many years. Good morning, Mike. How are
Good
you?
morning. I'm good. How are you?
Good. Thank you so much for being on.
Thanks for having me on.
Yeah, you bet. So tell everybody who you are and where you're from and your company.
So, yep, my name is Mike Brown, and I'm with KMRD Partners, and we're located in the suburbs of Philadelphia. Our KMRD has 3 offices around Philadelphia with about 40 employees. And I've been in the insurance business for 26 years, and been with KMRD since 2011.
Awesome. And so KMRD has been the insurance provider that we recommend in our classes. They're part of our association vendorship as well. They're coming to conference as well, so thank you for your sponsorship.
We're looking.
Are you going to be coming? Will someone else, will Barb be coming, Barb Santilli, or who's coming?
We haven't
Do you know?
decided, but I'm pretty sure it's going to be Barb Santilli, who's actually beside me. If you want to poke your head in and say hi to everybody.
Yeah, hi Barb.
Hi, everybody.
Hey, you guys. Barb is amazing. You email her, like I have sometimes condos that want special, to be added to my policy. I email her, she fires it off to them. I mean, she's on it. She's like a do it now woman. So I so much appreciate your responsiveness
Thanks, Jeff.
and this policy. You're welcome.
All right, now I can place a face with a name. When you call me, this is who you're talking to.
Yeah. Hello.
Oh,
Good to see everybody.
Thanks. Okay, so talk about your insurance program and what you offer for stagers.
yeah, so we started about 3 years ago with this program, and right now we have about over 200 clients in 35 states. We're licensed to write in all 50 states. And also,
Yes.
just a side note, we're also part of a network called the World Broker Network, which is a pretty exclusive network. And we've actually worked with a stager in Spain to try and get a program set up there as well.
Which is super important because, as you know, IHOSP has IHOSP Europe. And so a lot of those people, some of them are actually watching. It's 8 or 9 hours ahead right now for them. But they do have staging businesses and they do need coverage. And so the fact that you can go international, maybe help these people out is really, really great. So I have your policy and I love the policy. I've had it for years. So your policy is a liability and inventory coverage policy.
That's correct.
So talk about the liability side, why that's important.
So yeah, our policy is a package policy and includes a lot of coverage in there. So on the general liability, it's important for a couple of reasons, a couple of examples I'll give. Let's say you go in to stage a home and you put a rug down, but you don't quite put it flat, and somebody comes in, trips and falls, and then they come back and sue you for their bodily injury. That's where the general liability would step in. Or another example is, let's say there's a table that you want to move a little bit and you move it, but you scratch the hardwood floors. So that's another claim that we've seen on the liability side. And it's very important. All businesses need to have a basic general liability policy.
Yeah, I always teach the second you move anything in a client's house or you bring something in that could potentially damage it. I had a client, or a colleague, I should say, when I lived in California. She was backing her big SUV into a property, up the driveway. And it was California construction, so it's like stucco with the chicken wire and one of those big columns in the front of the house. One day she bashed into that. Well, made a big fat dent. And so that was more than $500. I always look at when I have a loss, like if somebody steals a mattress, I'm not going to make a claim. People steal bedding, but if it was more than 500 or significant damage, then of course you're going to make a claim. And when you crash into a house with your car and make a big dent, she did have to activate the policy, but she had coverage, which is super important because out of pocket that could have been thousands. She just had to pay the deductible. So you never know. The second you touch something in a house, and realtors that are watching, and again, all of you that are watching now, please share this segment, share. Realtors that are watching, a lot of you like to help your clients. Maybe you want to help them move furniture. Maybe you bring some of your own stuff in too. Your stuff's not covered under your E&O insurance. And the second any of us move something in a client's house and we scratch a floor, maybe you move grandma's antique mirror and it falls off the wall and smashes, and then they're like, oh my gosh, that was like this priceless heirloom and we want money for that. Anytime you do something like that, you need to be protected. So a liability policy is an absolute must. So
yeah. In fact,
let's talk about
real quick on the liability. One
ahead.
important thing is we just paid a claim for somebody that was moving a table that had a marble top to it and cracked the marble. On a general liability policy, there is a $0 deductible. So, in this case, it was I think about a $600 loss, but the home stager didn't go out of pocket at all. The carrier paid the claim, and the homeowner gets the table replaced.
That's great. So you also cover inventory. So my inventory under this policy is covered when I'm driving in my car.
Mhm.
If I am in an accident and my stuff gets damaged, or maybe I'm parked my car and I go get a coffee and somebody steals my car. And we've actually had incidences where entire trucks full that were loaded for staging have been stolen. And so your contents, the inventory is covered in transit. It's covered when it's sitting in a vacant house.
Yep.
And so it's, even though you're not in charge of it, your inventory is covered. And so from your perspective, what is the average dollar amount that most stagers are covering as far as contents? Like, I think I have like 10 or 15,000 in coverage, but I feel like that might be a little low. So what do you see as the average?
Well, most of those stagers that we have, if they're just starting out, they usually have about $10,000 of contents. We just wrote one today that was $300,000 in contents. We've had some stagers, with up to $1 million of contents. And to give you an idea, so we cover the contents. Let's say you just have the contents in your home, in your garage, the stager's garage. We cover it while it's in your garage. We cover it while it's in transit. We cover it while it's at the client's house. And if you have a storage facility, which a lot of stagers do, we also add that storage facility to the policy and have a limit for the contents in that storage facility. So we cover it there as well.
So I didn't even know. That's great. I didn't know that. So I thought that I had to take a separate policy out. With the storage facilities, they make you pay an extra little amount every month for insurance.
And trust,
so they're double dipping.
that little amount is a lot more than we charge.
They do, yeah. So I got to add that to my policy. So Barb, remind me.
Yep, we're on it.
Okay, so if somebody makes a claim, I know that there's the FUD factor, fear, uncertainty, and doubt. People think if I make a claim, like if I get in an auto accident and it's my fault or whatever it is, and the insurance kicks in, people think, oh, my rates are going to go up. Or if you get a lot of tickets or whatever. So because you are the one that did the bad thing, you sped, your rates do go up. But in an issue like this, where you're the victim and you make a claim, the rates aren't necessarily going to go up, and your policy is not going to be dropped by KMRD, right?
Correct. That is absolutely correct. We've had claims in the 3 years that we've done this, over 3 years. None of those policies have been canceled or non-renewed, and all of the renewal premiums are either flat, which means equal to what they paid last year, or maybe a slight 3 or 4% increase just because of the inflation. But we haven't had any cases where there's been where somebody's had a big claim and then there's been a big hit on the insurance. It's important to note that auto policies are set so that they do trigger if there's a claim that you're going to have a higher rate, or you might have accident forgiveness for one claim, but then so your spouse gets in an accident, all of a sudden there's 2 claims now. Commercial policies don't hurt you like that. And we also deal with many carriers. We have some that are our favored carriers for the home staging program. But if we did have a case where our carrier came back and sold or had a big increase, then we would just go to our other carriers and say, okay, we want to use you now.
So that's really important. So they're not going to be jacking up the policies just because you put a claim, and you're not going to get penalized. And so the way I see, so these policies can work in tandem. First of all, the first policy with Bob, there is no liability. So you need to have a liability policy. You need to check out KMRD. It's only, I think I pay something like $500 a year around that for my policy, and you can do it monthly, so it's like $42 a month, if I did my math right, and or you could pay it all at once. And so, so it's only that's a minimum amount to pay to be covered for your liability, and it's up to $1 to $2 million in liability, by the way.
That's correct.
So there was actually, I always tell the story when I teach a class, that there was a stager in Northern California who staged a house, and she brought some inventory in, and one of those pieces of inventory were candles, and they were just sitting on the table. They were just decorative. Well, the agent holding the house open for the listing agent lit the candle, didn't blow it out. House caught on fire, and when the dust settled, it's like, well, who's responsible? Is it the person who lit the candle and didn't blow it out, which you think that's the person to be on the hook, or was it the stager? And when all the dust settled and the finger stopped pointing, the stager was held responsible, because if the candle hadn't been there, the person couldn't have lit it. So luckily she had a liability policy because the house didn't burn totally to the ground, but there was damage. So it's up to, $1 to $2 million in coverage, which is significant. So, and can that be increased? Let's say you're living in an area where the properties are much higher value. Could you increase that liability amount?
Yes, we absolutely can. We can go up to, we can go up to however much you need within what we call an umbrella policy that goes over top of your general liability policy. And when you talk about pricing for, you talk about your policy is about $500 a year. That $500 gets you the general liability and the property, and the limit for the property is about $25,000 of contents coverage. The one that we did that was $300,000, that premium was about $1,100 a year. So
right.
you can see the pricing is small increments as you add.
That's very reasonable. Yeah, that's because it's only just a little over double, but it's 6x is that right?
Yeah.
12x? I'm trying to do math in my head really fast. And I'm tired. So anyway, it's a lot more.
Yeah, and also
a lot more coverage for just a smaller amount.
Yeah.
So you have your liability policy, and then you have your stuff that's covered, because the other policy through SRM will cover your contents and the situation in a house that you've staged, but it's not going to protect you in transit. It's not going to protect your stuff at your house or in a storage. So it's not a bad thing to have dual coverage. And if you already have content coverage through KMRD, you might pick up a second policy, just per property, like through SRM, if you don't want to add, a lot more dollar volume for replacement on your policy through KMRD. So I would think, in my situation, if I have 40 houses out right now that are vacant, I might say, okay, maybe I need to cover more than just one house worth of contents. I could come and say, how much would it be for X amount? Or and I always assume responsibility. So maybe I'm on odd stage, or I don't know. I don't make my clients responsible. I like having the option that if it's a lot of stuff going in, or I'm using a third party rental company, and if they don't have the coverage that is needed to protect their stuff, or they're expecting me to cover that, I would absolutely take out that SRM policy, because I don't want to be responsible to replace their items that I don't even own, but I'm renting them, so I'm responsible because I'm the client. So there's ways to bridge, to marry these things together. So I think those of you guys that are listening, you want to have KMRD policy for sure for liability and coverage for your inventory wherever you are with it. Driving in your car, at your house, in storage, at a property. And then if you need to add additional coverage, or you're bringing things in that you don't want to be responsible for, then you would tack on that second policy that's just for that particular property. Does that make sense?
Yeah, absolutely. It's a very specialized product that
Right.
is very interesting and can complement the program that you have in place for risk management.
Absolutely.
In certain cases that it could be a very big benefit.
So you do write policies in all 50 states, because I've been, some of the people that are, part of the association thought, oh, they don't write policies in Florida. I can't get a policy in Florida, these states where you might have weather-related things like hurricanes. And so I asked you about that, and the answer is?
We do write in Florida. We write in Florida quite a bit. It's a little bit longer of a process. A lot of times when we get the application, when people go online and complete the application and we get it, we get a quote back to them the same day, or within 24 hours. If it's Florida, we might need 72 hours, just because Florida is a very strange state when it comes to insurance. And it all has to do with capacity of carriers and their ability to write X amount. I don't want to get into all the details, but Florida does present some, Florida and some coastal locations as well. You could have somebody.
Yes, I can see.
That takes a little bit longer, just because we have to take those extra steps.
So the states that are kind of in the Gulf, you got Louisiana, Florida, what would it be, Texas maybe, because of the hurricanes. So those states you might take a little bit longer to get your policy written, but 3 days is nothing.
Yeah.
And furthermore, I remember when I went with you guys, I was actually staging a house that day, and I wanted to be covered. And so I said, can you make it active as of today? Because you just never know. You know how it is, like, maybe you have a lapse in your medical coverage, and for a couple of months, and of course those are the 2 months that you get sick, or you get some weird thing and you don't have coverage to go in and have it looked at. So I didn't want to be unprotected for that day, and they were able to make it retroactive to the day I needed it, even though I didn't actually have the policy in hand for a couple of days, and then they mailed me my hard copies. So again, very responsive, very flexible. It's a great policy.
Thank you.
So Yeah, well, we really appreciate having you on our team. And how can people sign up for the insurance? I know, Krista, I think you put the website up, but let's get that up there again.
Oh, I was just going to say through our website. But if they ever, if on the website and you're filling out the application, and it's at kmrdpartners.com, and in the upper right there's applications. You can click that, and then it'll go. You'll see the home staging. We have a couple of programs out there, but the home staging is right there on that page. Then, as you're filling out the questionnaire, if you have questions, you can always pick up the phone and call Barb. In fact, a lot of times Barb will just start from the beginning and put the application up on her laptop, the computer, and fill it out with the client on the phone. And then after you're done, the client gets an email that the application was completed. We get the email and we submit it to the carrier, and we get your quote back.
And it is a staging specific policy. So there's a lot of stuff that in a general liability policy, a lot of extraneous stuff that didn't pertain to us, but we do have the lock and key replacement, right,
Mm-hmm.
through the policy. So for example, let's say you get keys to your properties for staging and you lose it, and the seller freaks out like, oh my God, my key, where's my key? Well, I need to replace all my locks. My house is not secure. There's actually a lock and key replacement clause or coverage for that. So they've really thought out of the box as far as what a stager, business owner, needs for a policy and what we didn't need. And so we kind of took out the extraneous stuff, made it customized for the staging industry. And again, realtors that are watching, if you are bringing things into a property or you're moving things around in a property, you need to be covered for liability. You can get this policy as well. And you want to be protected because you don't want to be on the hook for damage. None of us do.
Yeah.
None of us want to be on the hook. So well, thank you so much for being on the show.
Thank you,
If anyone has any questions, what can you put your email address and your phone number when you come off, type it into the comments section.
Yep.
And then anybody in the future who's watching this, they'll be able to access that information as well.
Perfect. I'll put my information as well as Barb's.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Mike. Great to have you
Very
on.
much.
And thank you, Barb, over in the background. I know you're off to the side, but looking forward to seeing you in Charlotte. We're going to have some fun in Charlotte. We're going to have expo night. They'll have karaoke and a DJ and a photo booth and food. And so it's going to be a fun kickoff to our big event. And then we'll have fun all weekend long. And you get to meet the Property Brothers too.
Yeah.
That's good.
It's be exciting. All right. Thanks, you guys. Thanks for being on.
Thanks, everybody.
Bye. All right. So great segment. So those of you who are watching, again, please hit your share button. That's how we reach more and more people with our show. And and our goal, of course, is to reach as many people as we can in the industry, people who are interested in the industry, people we serve as part of being in the industry. So please make sure that you share. All right, so the last part of our segment, I just wanted to kind of talk about agreements, staging agreements. And I'm really hoping that everybody watching now and in the future, you have a good agreement in place for your business, because it is CYA. I don't have to tell you what that stands for, but CYA. So you need to protect yourself in your business. So if you don't have a great staging agreement in place, immediately get one put together. And the things you want to have in your staging agreement are things you expect of the client, as far as how your inventory is going to be treated, payment terms, notification terms, things like that. So through the years, I've added to it. So my agreements are only 2 pages. I know other stagers, their agreements might be 12 pages. My proposals are like 20, 22 pages because I have photographs and statistics and information in there. And some stagers' proposals are smaller. So I feel like you want to make sure that you put in everything that you need to cover yourself. We have sample agreements on our Staging University site for those people who've gone through our courses. There's also information on the IHOSP site for agreements and so forth that you can access if you're an IHOSP member. And so a lot of my things from agreements, they definitely have changed through the years. So you want to make sure for your area, for example, it snows here in Denver, right? It gets cold. So in the wintertime, I remember showing up to a couple houses, and not only was the heat not turned on, but the plumbing was also not on because they had moved out and they had winterized their house. So, we're at the house and you got to use the restroom. Well, guess what? You can't flush the toilet and it's freezing cold. So I make that a mandatory part of my agreements that the plumbing must be working. Thank you. And the heat and so forth, the temperature must be able to be not 45 degrees in the house. The heat must be working and the plumbing. So, and I staged a house where it was warmer outside than it was on the inside. It was 29 degrees on the inside of the house because their heater had stopped working. So I remember calling the homeowner or the realtor and I said, you got to get over here because you're now at risk of your pipes breaking. It was a new remodel. That's not a comfortable situation to be in for staging. You can also mandate that the electricity is working. You know, all the utilities must be functional. Because I remember back in the day going to a house and it was vacant and there was no electricity. And this was back in the day when I would use air mattresses for the queen air mattresses for the masters. So I remember literally, and this is before the little air pumps and how they do the mattresses now. They're really easy to inflate. We had to use a hair dryer. So I literally was walking door to door in this neighborhood with a floppy mattress and a hair dryer in my hand, knocking on doors, asking if I could use their electricity. I mean, how pathetic was that? And the door slammed in my face a couple times, and finally somebody took pity on me and let me use their electricity to blow up the stupid mattress. And so we were literally staging by flashlight because it got dark. So things like that. You have situations that occur as you go along in your business, and if something like that happens, then boom, you put it in as part of your policy. So your policy should cover your payment terms. Be very, very explicit about payment terms for your agreements. That you're going to be processing their payment. I do it 2 to 3 business days prior to the actual staging. I take 100% up front. This is all explained in the agreement, and then they're told in that agreement that the credit card will be used for future rental payments if needed, and it's going to be processed on the 28th day before the 30th, the anniversary of the month of rental. It's going to be processed again 48 hours in advance because the merchant system takes 2 to 3 days to fund my account, the one I have. So you want to be really, really clear. And I have them initial, so I use something called DocuSign. There's also eSign. Those are 2 really great online services that you can sign up for. It's like $20 a month roughly, or you can do an annual. And I run every agreement through DocuSign. And so you send it to the client. It's a secure portal. The first page has all the agreement terms. Second page is their credit card authorization. And I have them initial certain clauses. And this has saved my bacon a couple of times when a couple of clients have tried to back charge saying, oh, I told her I was going to, I needed the stuff picked up and she charged me anyway. And I have in my agreement, it's a 7 business day notice to remove in order for us to properly plan for our time, or there's a rush fee. And if the notice to remove comes after the inventory renewal period, they are charged in full for the rental term and there's no refunds. And that's all explained, and they initial that clause. And so because I have that in writing, when people dispute it, it's only happened to me a couple times, I won like that because I have an agreement in place. So you have to protect your business.